let's be honest. Sometimes it's not how much we earn, it's how much we handle it. I was talking yesterday with my sister, and she told me, like, why did you decide to budget things? Why are you running around with all that budgeting stuff? Because, I told you in my previous videos, I think I will tell you in almost every video that I bought this amazing money budget binder that you can use for cash, for different currencies. For example, if you have your local currency, you can transfer them to dollars, to euros, or you can even leave the message. You can write down on the paper, okay, this amount of money I don't put into envelope, but I put it on savings account, onto crypto account, investment account. But you also need to write it down and leave that paper inside the envelope so that you can track your planning. So I said to my sister, you know what? I can tell you it's really all about budgeting, because I can tell you that me and my colleagues, we all were making almost the same amount of money. We didn't have to pay for anything. Company was paying for everything. The only thing I was paying for was my internet bill and food when I had 9 days off. So only food. Okay. But on the working days, on layovers, I was not spending my own food. And somebody was in debt. I was not in debt. I was never broke, but I was always spending everything to the maximum, like shopping non-stop. And there were people who would buy cars in in 2 salaries, in 3 salaries, who would buy flats in 1 year. Of course, it depends what's the price of the flat. But for example, at those times, you could buy a house in the village, like for not a lot. Of course, the prices for houses in USA, in somewhere in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, and in Ukraine, in the village in Ukraine, in the east part or in the west part of Ukraine are different. And of course, because I'm from Ukraine, in Kyiv is like the prices are much higher than in my town. So of course, I understand that. But this was the reality. I was telling my sister, like, look, we all were doing the same amount of money, but we were totally like spending it different. I had colleagues who would spend their money on groceries. They would take some cheap creams. They would buy some cheap clothes. And me, always these designer accessories, designer bags, designer shoes, La Prairie, La Mer, the most expensive skincare, blah, blah, blah. But the good thing, I was not spending my money on the cosmetic procedure, at least for one good thing. And I was not spending my money in manicure, because I really don't like doing manicure in the salon. At least that's something I was saving. But I would go to massage salon like 5 times per week, in hotels somewhere. And in a hotel, it costs $150, right? One massage. So in some hotels, of course, $50, maybe in Thailand, $7. But I mean, yeah, usually I would go to these luxury hotels. So it's all about what you spend your money on. And because I didn't have any goal to save my money on to invest on, I even didn't think. Of course, they were there. At least, leave it for your retirement plan, but emergency fund. But no, like, woohoo, I want to spend. So I was telling to my sister that you need to start looking and start not just looking at your budget. You need to start planning. First, you need to check what did you spend your money on. Check your wants, your needs, and third category, your investment savings. That's it. And then you see where you need to cut and where you don't need to cut. So a lot of people think that if they would make a lot of if they would make much more money, a lot of their problems would be solved. But that's not always the case. The more money you make, I can tell you at my experience, at the experience of my friends, the more money you want to spend. If you're stupid like me, like I was before, okay, maybe not stupid if you don't think, okay? No financial education, no goals, right? So the problem was that, okay, because if you don't think ahead, if you don't plan ahead, your spendings start to grow. Like, okay, before I was using the bus. the trolley bus, I don't know, the scooter, the bicycle, my legs. Now I want to use taxi. The more I make, okay, now I want to have a car. Then I make more. I want 3 cars. I want 5 cars. I want 15 cars. Okay, then, I don't know, I was just buying clothes. And now I want designer clothes. And now I want haute couture clothes. And now I want private jet. And now, you start with economy class, then you want a business class, first class, private jet, a yacht. So it's all because of spending, right? The more we make, the more we want to spend. And only budgeting can help us not to spend so much. I understand that a lot of us are from poor families. I'm from poor family. I was born and raised in Soviet Union with a lot of deficit, and it's fine to spend money, but at least, have some red lines. Like, okay, I will have this luxury bag, but not every month. Once in a half year, once in a year. Okay, I will have this luxury La Prairie, all cosmetics, decorative and skincare, but not 3 times per week. I don't know. I was addicted to duty free every time. Like, I would go to duty free 2 times per day to decorative cosmetics, to Nordstrom, to Sephora. So not every day. Don't go there every day. Don't buy there everything every week, few times per week. Okay, 1 time in a season, 1 time in a half year, 1 time in a year. So there should be some red lines, like, I'm all for balance, nothing too extreme. So we need to understand, and I understood that it's not the problem, not such a big problem with my money income, but it's more of a problem with my bad money habits, with my toxic habits. Yes, I'm all, I want, of course, like normal, any person want to make more money. And you need to make more money. You need to wish to make more money. But before making more money, you need to understand your money habits, your bad, toxic money habits. I would start with first habit. I think you've heard it a lot of times. You've read it in many books, especially of all those millionaires, billionaires, investors. They say, pay yourself first. What does it mean? When I was spending my earned money and when I was getting a salary, I was wasting this money, you can say. I was paying to whom? To massagists, to housekeepers, house cleaners. I was paying those money to La Prairie, to Chanel, to Dior, to all those decorative skincare and everything. I was paying money to Gucci, to Dior, and to Zara, to H&M, to Nordstrom's, to Debenhams when I was buying their clothes, to Aldo, Charles & Cake when I was buying maybe their shoes. I was paying money to Victoria's Secret, to Tom Ford when I was buying their perfumes, when I was buying their loungewear. I was paying money to Valentino, to Bulgari when I was buying their wallets and different shoes. I was paying money a lot to Louis Vuitton because I was buying a lot of stuff, a lot of different stuff with their canvas, with their monogram. I was paying money to taxi drivers. I was paying money to grocery shops. I was paying money to people in the cinema because I would go all the time to the cinema. Okay, sightseeing I would do for free when I was traveling around the world. So I was paying money, paying all the salaries to baristas, to people from whom I was buying food in hotel, in the restaurant, So I was paying everyone. I was paying to the laundry when they were doing my laundry, but I was not leaving anything to myself, to my present self and to my future self. My future self, who will need emergency fund one day, who will need a retirement plan, who will need investments, who will need savings, and anything for health, for example. Nobody knows what's gonna happen. You need to have a foundation right now because you never know. Maybe you will win a lottery, but I'm sure you heard those stories too, when people win a lottery and they spend everything so fast and they keep been not only broke, but I've heard they become homeless and they lose even relatives. They even lose their best friends. They lose everyone. Like they lose their health, not only money. So that's why it's so important to start building small habits right now and start to know more than maybe your friends or maybe your relatives, because I don't know how much time do you spend on work. Maybe it's 9 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours. I know there are people who work really long hours, but so you spend so much time on working, but you don't spend any time on your financial education, or at least budgeting and planning your budget. So please start with foundation today. You don't have to compare yourself with others, and you don't have, to be what society expects you to be. I can tell you that I've seen in Ukraine a lot of people who goes into debt. They buy these expensive luxury cars. It was like 20 years ago. I remember I met a lot of people in Kyiv who bought this Porsche Cayenne, I don't know, Ferrari, Lamborghini, whatever, because they got some position, I don't know, in a bank, let's say, whatever, in politics. Okay, politics is corruption. Okay, corrupted, yeah. Corrupted people will have everything. So let me say, okay, maybe some good position. And you start buying expensive watch, I don't know, some diamonds, and a lot of those people that buy those luxury cars, they cannot afford the gas and the oil, or they buy some expensive flats and houses and they cannot afford to look after that house or flat. So you don't have to keep up with your status. Like, I know it's easy to say, but really, you will die one day and people will forget you very fast. And right now, people will talk and they will judge you anyway, but they will talk about you for 5 minutes. So what? Why do you have to keep up with all what society is wanting from you? And society, I think, wants us to be poor. Propaganda, all this propaganda wants to take our money and to make us poor. Yeah, so we need to save our money. My next biggest bad toxic money habit, and this is the biggest one, like number one, super one, is buying my feelings, buying emotions. For example, when you are buying a planner, I don't know how many planners I bought because I wanted to be productive. Maybe going on some conference because, I don't know, buying something for motivation, going to some movies, to the cinema for some motivation, buying something to feel confident, I don't know, heels, maybe some sexy dress, decorative cosmetics, skincare, buying relaxation. I can tell you that I was spending a lot of money even at my most happiest days in my life, in most happiest moments, and it was always like a very interesting thought to me. Why am I spending this money? Because I used to think that you only spend money when you're not happy, when you feel bored, when you want to close something, when you want to buy status, when you want to buy confidence. But also I can say that I was spending not a lot of money when I was happy, but still I was spending when it was not needed. So it's really about having plus buying the feelings, like a huge mix. Because not always it's buying feelings or emotions. Sometimes your habits stick so much, and when it's also mixed up with feelings and emotions, it's like, yeah, a huge addiction. Of course, I would say don't start extreme. For example, after watching my video, you decide to become an extreme minimalism, extreme no buy, no purchase all the year. Start slowly with what you can. Start slowly budgeting your wants and needs and what can you save. Plan the money that you have to spend. Then look at the end of the week, look at the end of the month, actual money spent, and look at the difference. Start from there.